From the enormous liger to incredible wolfdogs, here are 10 of the most incredible hybrid animals that actually exist. Number 10. Liger. Topping off the list today is the infamous liger, a creature that is much more real than you may have known. These creatures are definitely not roaming around in the jungle or the savanna, but you can find a handful of these tiger-lion hybrids in captivity around the world. You might be wondering what's the difference between a liger and a Tigon. Well, a liger is what happens when you mix a male lion with a female tiger. The liger is the biggest of any feline in the world, often standing taller and weighing more than either of the parent species. This is because the female lion usually adds a growth-inhibiting gene down to the cubs. But since the male lion is breeding with a tiger, and tigers don't have these growth-inhibiting genes, the ligers are able to grow much larger than they would otherwise. Keep in mind that a liger could never exist in the wild. Lions and tigers are actually separated by roughly 7 million years of evolution and are completely different animals. However, if this kind of mixed breeding continues, we may see entire zoos populated by ligers and a brand new species. Number 9. Humanzee. Chimpanzees are the closest relatives of humans. We look fairly similar, we have extremely similar DNA, and so it's no surprise that some lunatic at some point tried to create a human and chimpanzee hybrid known as a Humanzee. If you can breed a lion with a tiger, it stands to reason you could mate a primate with a human. And according to rumors, in the early 1900s, a Soviet biologist named Ilya Ivanovich Ivanov hypothesized to the World Congress of Zoologists that it would be possible to create the perfect hybrid using the sperm of a human and the body of a chimp. He proposed that it would be a possible missing link between humans and apes. Of course, because of the wildly controversial nature of trying to mix a human with a chimp, Ivanov's experiments eventually stopped, and he was arrested in 1930 before he was able to create a sustainable pregnancy in either a chimp or a human. And since then, several mad scientists and organizations have reportedly attempted to create this Humanzee, but there have been no documented cases of one actually existing. There are some unsubstantiated rumors that the United States did create a Humanzee in a secret lab back in the 1920s, but this is not verified. So far as we know, there aren't actually any Humanzees running around on Earth, but there very well could have been one created in a lab many years ago that we will never know of. Number 8. Tigon. A Tigon is what happens when you mix a female lion with a male tiger. Basically, the opposite of a liger, but still using the same two species of animals. While ligers are definitely cool, some may say that Tigons are actually way cooler. There's just something about mixing the female lion DNA with the male tiger DNA that creates a strikingly beautiful animal. The Tigon has the adorable face of a lion, but coated in faded tiger stripes. These animals are truly unique. The very first Tigon was supposedly bred and born in India, but there are now estimated to be around 9 countries with Tigons, including the USA and Russia. Tigons are smaller than ligers, but they are apparently more aggressive. One of the most interesting results of this mix is that Tigons are fantastic swimmers and actually enjoy the water. This is funny because lions hate the water and never want to swim even to save their life, but tigers are fantastic swimmers and don't mind hanging out in the water. It just shows how conflicting traits can be when you breed two vastly different animals. Number 7. Zebroid. Leave it to the Russians to create an animal known as a Zebroid. This is a hybrid animal born after a zebra mixed with a donkey stallion. It was born in 2019 and was supposedly the second ever Zebroid born in the country. In the photos posted by the zoo on social media, you can clearly see how strangely mixed this little baby Zebroid really is. It has striped black and white legs just like a zebra, but it has shaggy brown fur just like a donkey. It really is quite strange. This particular Zebroid is a little weird, since it's usually a zebra stallion that is used to create hybrids rather than a donkey stallion. But nonetheless, the baby was born. It looks healthy and pretty normal all things considered, and it actually looks pretty happy standing beside its zebra mother. Many people believe that crossbreed offspring are easier to tame and train than pure zebras. Who knows? Maybe people will have pet Zebroids at home in the next few years. Number 6. Grola Bear. The Grola Bear is what happens when a polar bear breeds with a grizzly bear. A recent story coming from the Canadian North says that a grizzly and polar bear hybrid was shot in the snowy northern town of Nunavut, and it wasn't the only one. According to CBC News, since 2006, Canadian hunters have reported at least 3 of these weird hybrid bears showing up unannounced. But according to researchers, this trend is actually becoming more common. Because these two bears have very similar genetics and a history of interbreeding already, it's not that surprising to see it happening more and more in the wild. In fact, one of the world's best bear experts from the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources says that the breeding is likely due to climate change. Grizzly bears are moving further north and polar bears are forced to move further south. This is putting them in close proximity and it's creating one of the only natural hybrids known about right now. In terms of appearance, the Grola Bear has a black nose, dark eyes and enormous claws. The body is shaped very much like a grizzly bear, but when you look at it you immediately think polar bear because of the white fur. It really is quite an extraordinary creature. Number 5. Beefalo. This story is almost too bizarre to be true. When bison were bred with domestic cattle, they created a hybrid animal known as the beefalo. This in itself is not extraordinary. But what is rather strange is the fact that the creatures somehow escaped from where they were being held, went down into the area around the Grand Canyon, and are now causing environmental havoc. According to BBC News, the beefalo is the result of a failed breeding program. Beefalo are also the source of a lot of controversy. Environmentalists and Native American groups want the unnatural hybrids removed from the area, but there are now estimated to be around 600 beefalo roaming around the Grand Canyon's north rim. There's no way that anyone can go in and cull 600 unique hybrid animals without raising a huge backlash from the public. But still, the beefalo are bad for the area. They can consume at least 10 gallons of water each time they find a watering hole, and they are ruining the soil and eating all the grass. They are basically eating and drinking the Grand Canyon dry, and all their destruction is even pushing other animals out of the ecosystem, at least according to environmentalists. Number 4. Kama. Rama is a Kama, and she is a mixed breed between a camel and a llama. She was also the only one of her kind since her birth in 1995. But in 2008, better breeding techniques added even more Kamas to the world. These animals were bred thanks to a special team at Dubai's Camel Reproduction Center. They actually started the breeding program with the intent of creating camel and llama hybrids. They wanted to get the best of both species, and it looks like that's exactly what they've done. Kamas don't have humps, they have long and fluffy hair just like a llama, and they have pretty horrendous teeth like a camel. But most importantly, they have strong legs that work well in the desert. But perhaps the strangest characteristic of this hybrid is that the Kama has partially cloven feet, something halfway between the soft footpads of a camel and the cloven feet of a llama. It is absolutely strange. According to one of the doctors from the breeding program, it's actually impossible for a male llama to impregnate a female camel. It only works when a male camel impregnates a female llama. So, keep this in mind for the next time you start up some weird breeding experiments of your own. Number 3. Wolf dog. The wolf dog is exactly what it sounds like. This hybrid is a mixture between a wild wolf and a domestic dog. This is one of the easier hybrids to make, since these animals share an evolutionary past and many physical and behavioural traits. After all, dogs evolved from wolves through just a few hundred years of domestication. When it comes to hybrids, you never really know what you're going to get. Wolves are so much different from dogs, living in packs and not relying on humans at all to survive. Whether these hybrids make good pets or not is an area of huge contention. They are very hard to predict. If you were hoping to have a wolf dog living in your house, you will be sorely disappointed. Wolf dog hybrids still have way too much wild in them to be any good in your home. For example, you can expect huge amounts of urination all over your house. This is because wolves are still very territorial, whereas dogs have lost the instinct to urinate on everything through domestication. They are quite similar to wolves in this regard. This is just one challenge when dealing with a hybrid for a pet. Number 2. Zorse. What do you get when you cross a zebra with a horse? You get a zorse. This absolutely stunning creature has the body of a horse and the faded black stripes of a zebra. It's an absolutely majestic creature that really does exist in our world today. It's a mixture between the domestication of a horse and the colourful coat of a zebra, but the results are not always as intended. According to a science-based horse trainer out of France, it's like trying to cross a wolf with a dog. In this case, the zebra is the wolf and the horse is the dog. This is because zebras are wild, impossible to tame and very stubborn creatures. And when you cross the horse and a zebra and you think you're going to get half of each animal, in the end you don't get either, just like with a wolf dog. Instead, the Zorse you're left with is an absolute anomaly that doesn't really belong anywhere. This is because with all that mixed DNA, a Zorse doesn't really know which way to go instinctively. It makes their behaviour tricky and sometimes unpredictable. Number 1. Geep. Last on the list is probably the most adorable animal you have ever seen. I'm talking about a geep. A geep is a rare hybrid goat and sheep mix that gives you the best of both species. One of the first documented cases happened on an Irish farm back in 2014. The strange hybrid animal was believed to be an unintentional accident that happened when a goat and a sheep had a little bit too much fun without the farmer's permission. The farmer described finding the baby geep as a complete shock, and he claimed that no such event has ever happened on his farm before. According to the story from the BBC, the geep was perfectly healthy, it got along with all the other lambs that were born around the same time, and the mother sheep was raising it just as she would any other lamb. The only real difference was that the geep was way quicker than his sheep cousins, able to outrun every other baby animal on the farm. Do you think hybrids are the future or a major mistake of science? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. See you again soon for more fun videos.